Good evening and welcome to the Finance and Advisory Board meeting. Call the meeting to order on January 29th at 7:07. Welcome. Okay, first order of business, Peter Durkee, the highway surveyor, is going to be here to discuss with us his pavement management program so we can get an idea of what is involved, because you just had the survey done last year, right?
Yep.
And inventory, because the roads are in tough shape, especially this winter with the potholes. So we really need to get an idea from you. So, Peter, take it away and let us know what you've got.
We had an engineering firm last year come in and go over all the roads and give them a classification of which roads need to be done first, and by, like Webb Road is the worst road in town, but it wouldn't be the first road we fix. So things like that. So it gave us an idea of, with the money that we have, what we can fix each year. So for the next upcoming year, it shows on here Jewett Street from Rogers Way to Forest Street, which is basically the Raleigh line. We may change that because Pond Street, which is supposed to be done on the fiscal year 15, is a lot worse. So we may flip those and try to do Pond Street. So they give us a rough idea, but it's not etched in stone, and we can make changes. We're already working on the library area, where we're gonna, in the spring, as soon as we can get out there, we're gonna reclaim the road and put new paving down, new sidewalks, new curbing where it's needed, and that will be done hopefully before summer. It will be, we're gonna, as soon as we can get out there, because right now, the way the road is, it's a mess. Last fall, late fall, we put in the drainage, and all the drainage is done except for two structures. I'm meeting with the gas company tomorrow. They have to move a gas line. So that will be done in the spring. So that includes Winter Street, Park Street, Pleasant Street, Maple Street, Lincoln, so all that area will be done. And so depending on, we may not be able to do all of Pond Street, but we're gonna do the worst section of Pond Street.
Peter, when they did this summary, did they base this on what your Chapter 90 funding is expected to be? So all this work is being funded solely by Chapter 90?
Chapter 90, and we do have some fund with the road maintenance account. We do have funds there, in-town funds. So I got one price yesterday to have a company to come in to mill sections of road. Andover Street is a mess. One day we spent over 6 hours out there just filling potholes. And what happens is, in the wintertime, you get the freezing weather, and then it thaws out, it rains, and then the water gets underneath the pavement, it freezes again, and that's how you get the potholes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mill sections of road on Andover Street. So it may be a 300-foot section by one lane, and then we're gonna move up the street, mill another section, just to get rid of this so we don't have to come back here and pothole this. I don't have the money to go mill the whole road, and I wanna try to do more work.
When you say mill, what is that, resurface?
They take down 1.5 inches. They'll remove an inch and a half, and then we come in and pave the next day with 1.5 inches of mix, and it will last a lot longer than just trying to fill it with potholes. I mean, we're gonna go out there and fill potholes now, but this is a more permanent fix that will try to give us some time, because I don't know if you've ever seen Andover Street in a heavy rainstorm, but you could kayak down Andover Street. So we need to do something with the drainage. So I don't wanna put a lot of money onto Andover Street, but I can't go out there and spend 8 hours filling potholes. So
How much would Andover Street be to do Andover Street with the drainage and everything?
I'd have to get a price for that, because basically it would be from like Ballpate Road down, and we just have to find out where the outflow is. And we would have to redo, we would have to put deep sumps in, we'd have to put a main line in. There's no main line, there's clay pipe, and I know when Verizon went through years ago, they used a device almost like you would put your home sprinkler system in, but they put it on a dozer and just went right up the side of the road. And they went through pipe, and it's red clay pipe up there. So the drainage there has to be fixed. We have to do something with the church parking lot. We can't let all that water come out into the road and just come down the hill. So we have to do something in that driveway to stop the water. So
How long is Andover Street? How long would that section be? Is it about a mile?
it would be, the drainage work would be less than a mile. So
And then the road itself?
I don't have the figures in front. Well, yes, I do.
Would it be less than a mile?
For the
For
drainage
pave-
work
for-
area.
Yeah, and then what about paving and redoing the road?
Well, paving, we would just go through, and after we did all these structures, we'd mill and overlay the whole road, because it's not a lot of drainage. The worst spot is up near the VFW and from Ballpate, or the horse farm down to down by Richie Clow's house, that far down. And we are in the process of, with my chapter 90 balances, we have money set aside for the West Street culvert, which is about 95% done. In the spring, we're gonna come back and they'll put the top coat in on, for the top layer of hot top. So they did from Pine Plain Road to the Groveland line, they'll pave that. I have here reclamation of Linden Circle and 8 various streets. Linden Circle and all that area is done. These other various streets are around the library. So that's already money allocated for around the library. We're working to get West Main Street from the 25% design stage to 100%, so we can start at Moulton Street and go to the Groveland line. And there'll be new drainage, new sidewalks, new roadway. The culvert down by the Power 97 will be replaced. And instead of, we're gonna set it up for, I was talking to him today. It was a 100-year flood, and it's already ready for a 100-year flood, but the problem is, some of that water goes above the road. So when we do this over, all the water's gonna go underneath the road and not make it so we have to close it down. So we'll be raising that section of roadway up, but that will be a tip grant, and so the town will have to pay minimal amounts of money for about $5 million worth of work.
Are you gonna have to, it's different than it was years ago, you're not gonna have to really, you don't have to,
Things have changed
That's what I
again
was gonna say.
as of yesterday.
really? Okay, good.
The new DOT guy wants the 2 sides of sidewalks, and
Oh.
it's not gonna fit on West Main Street, so we have to talk to him and just, because they wanna say that, what is it, 5 houses per acre, and that doesn't qualify Georgetown. You know, we're, basically an acre, there's 1 house, and so we need to talk to him and say, we can't put 2 sides of the sidewalk out there, it's not gonna fit.
It's gonna take too much of people's,
Exactly. So we, I found that out yesterday. What else do we have going on? We have 3 more FEMA mitigation grants that the town received. It equals about $1.2 million. So the West Street culvert was a FEMA grant, but we had to use 25% of the town's money, which I used chapter 90 money. We can also use in-kind services, so anything we do, basically, like if I have a person out there watching over the job, that's in-kind services. If we use materials that we have, that's in-kind services. Trucking that we do, that's in-kind services. So anything like that lowers our 25%. So I don't have the final numbers on how much we saved on West Street, but the most we would have to spend on West Street is $85,000.
How much?
$85,000
Not of town money.
of chapter 90 money for
Chapter
that. But it's gonna be less than 85, I can guarantee you that. So the other 3 FEMA grants that we have are, there's 2 on Central Street. So there's a flooding area past Noonan's when you go around the corner. So we're gonna replace that larger culvert, and then there's a culvert a little bit further down the street, and we'll replace that. It's I wanna say it's a 2-foot crossover pipe, and we'll replace that also. And they're gonna do upgrades with the water system while they're out there. They're gonna raise one side of the road up, so that's all included in that FEMA mitigation grant. And then the 3rd FEMA mitigation grant, and we're hoping to do that this summer. And the 3rd FEMA mitigation grant is the culvert over Thurlow Street. I wanna say it's a 10 by 6, 10 by 8 culvert, and that will be replaced.
How much in
Where is
total?
that?
On Thurlow Street,
Yeah, where on Thurlow?
under the park, or above the Parker River.
Oh, okay.
So,
So
and
how
that
much
will equal, with all these projects done, it will be $1.2 million. That
FEMA grants?
of FEMA grants.
Peter, congratulations, because those are not easy to get.
I think Georgetown's the FEMA capital of the world for the grants, so.
Because it's just, they're really, really difficult, because they have a ton of exclusions.
Yep.
They say, oh, we have all this money. Yeah, no, not for that, not for
Yeah.
that, not for that. So
We were
congratulations.
real lucky,
That's-
and these are gonna take care of areas that have flooded in the past. I didn't go for a FEMA mitigation grant for Route 97, because I know that's on the tip, and that will be done. So, there's gonna be minimal areas that flood when we get storms, and hopefully we don't get new ones after all this is done. But this is gonna be a lot better for the town,
Okay.
so.
Great.
And
Now-
now, one of the problems with, these numbers on here show just paving. But when you go in and do a roadway, you have to do the sidewalks over. And if there's any drainage, if it's not a, new pipe, it can't be metal, because any metal pipe in town is either corroded or rotted. So this, it's not just these numbers here, there's other things we have to do.
A
So,
quick question, because we've got such a pothole situation in town, and is there a number you can come up with some areas that it just would be silly to just pothole over, but it would be better to do sections of milling and overlaying?
Yep. There's sections on North Street, but that's another area that I'd like to, like, one area we already overlaid, there was a area between Thirlwell Street and Jewett Street. And I think a small car, if it drove, it would lean so much that the bottom would rub, and we filled that in this past fall.
Okay.
There's other areas on North Street that we could go in, if we have a reclaimer on, around the library, we could send them up North Street. There's a section by, I wanna say it's like 156 in that area. We have to replace a crossover pipe first, but there would be a good section of road that we could maybe go up there and do 100 feet of road, 200 feet of road, and make it a lot better, till we get North Street on a tip North Street needs a lot of work. There's an area between Jewett and Tenny Street that we're gonna have to dig out peat moss and put a good, material in, so it doesn't keep on sinking.
I guess I would hate to see you spend money for doing mini repairs if there's a possibility for a couple $100,000 to actually do something better.
Yep,
You know, in sections of town that could use it. It'd be like a one-time
yep,
type of thing. If you can get a number
okay.
for, for us of, then we could probably put that in as a warrant, if it meets the muster.
Yep.
Well, how do we determine that? How do we determine what parts get fixed and what parts get dug out?
By this pavement maintenance
the
program,
pavement
it has a
maintenance,
list of every street in
but-
town.
But I mean, are there certain roads that could also use the work, that maybe some people in town might say, well, I think this should be done first before
Yeah.
this.
Well, this
Is there a
has a,
determination on how we do that?
What I'm bringing up is not so much a lot of this work, but a lot of it is, if I was in the sections of potholes, it would be very silly to fill in with pothole
Right.
again and again and again.
Right.
If all of a sudden,
Yep.
you can do like a 25-foot or 30-foot section, you bring in a company to actually mill and overlay.
That's what I'm planning on doing
That's-
on Andover Street. And
And those would be for roads that aren't even close to being on the whole big pavement management program.
Yeah.
But it would be silly for 6 years to fix
Yeah.
potholes for.
like, our skid steer has a milling machine, and it's, I wanna say 2 foot wide. And we did sections of West Main Street last year that were bad, and it seemed to hold up well over the winter. And we will do small areas like that, but this milling machine that we're gonna be, getting in to do Andover Street has a conveyor, it goes right into the truck. So when we were doing it, it was small strips, 4 feet wide. We'd mill that section out, bring our sidewalk paver out, fill the sidewalk paver, and do that section there. And it's okay for West Main Street, we're gonna be doing that over probably in the next 5 to 7 years, but hopefully it's a Band-Aid till then, but it was in rough shape. So we're trying to do as much as we can with what we have. After,
This year's just a very unusually bad
It
year
is-
for roads. It's not
yes.
just us, it's everyone.
So-
It's just a bad year.
so the dream, and then the other thing that we have on the docket is Elm Street. Elm Street's gonna be redone from, East Main Street to Central Street, and they're gonna make Brook Street a T intersection, and that will include drainage and, drainage to grab the water from the Pembroke School site that is coming down the hill. Right now, there's no drainage on that road going to Pembroke School, and so that it's in the plan for the school, the new school, to put drainage coming down the hill, but they need a place to tie into. So that will be on the town's dime, and the town already okayed $1.8 million for that.
So and speaking of Elm Street, is there enough money then to do any other drainage that needs to get done on the road too?
We haven't signed the contract, or the selectmen haven't signed the contract yet, because I wanna find out exactly what, has to be done before we sign the contract, because they were talking about, we can go in there and the drainage that's on Elm Street now, we can make that work and put a trunk line in, but we don't have to do drainage on the whole road. It's areas that there's drainage already, so it's basically take what is there out, replace it with deep sumps, and have it tie in to where it outflows now. And there's, different sections. The worst section is up by, what number is it? 103, in between Pembroke School and Brook Street, that low area that floods there.
Johnson's house.
So we looked at that today, and we may have an answer for that, exactly, by the Johnson's house.
Yeah.
So, and it's mostly road water that's, the way the road is pitched, so we'll have to change that, maybe put a catch basin on the other side and come across the street into a rain garden, and that would be the cheapest way for the town to do that area, and it would help mitigate that flood area.
Okay.
Do you have any projections for Ballpate Road in the future?
It's not on the list right now, like in the next 3 or 4 years, but that is a road that, you know, we went up there and overlaid an area from, not Chaplain Hills, from the beginning of Ballpate Road into the first road, we did both sides. But, you know, up near your house, we patched a little area, and it's breaking up further down, it's a mess up there, and that road was only done, I wanna say 15 years ago, but it's useful life for pavement's not long. And that soil up there is terrible, it's clay,
Clay, right?
Yep.
Do you wanna explain what RSR is on here in the function class, so if they're looking at this, they can understand the rating?
Yep. What they do is they go around and rate each road by, like Route 97 is a lot more important than a side street like Webb Road, Mill Street. So that's how they do their RSR.
Road, that's Road Street rating, right?
Yes.
So the higher the number, the more important, is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Big up, oh, okay.
No, this is good. Yeah, if you can just get us, I mean, just as we go into the budget process, so at least we have an idea of if there's anything that can be done that is wise to be done. I just
Okay.
don't.
You know, we've been
You
doing,
shouldn't just, I mean, it's just it's just bad.
yeah,
In a lot of places. And doing the small mills might be won't be a good fix, but it might be a fix at least for
yep.
a few years as opposed to just continually
Yeah.
throwing.
And it's getting to the point now that we don't have to do as much drainage. You know, we did some areas up around Linden Circle, we just had to, you know, lower the structures and raise them back up when we were doing the paving. So, you know, we've replaced a lot of crossover pipes in town that have failed. And we've done a lot of culvert work, so now we're getting into the, start spending all this money on just reclaiming and paving roads.
Peter, how do these numbers reflect to, let's say, last year on maintenance?
We've done some roads over, so it's gonna change that final number. But we haven't done enough to raise the numbers enough, plus these roads are getting worse every year, so.
So is 395, 508?
Oh, those numbers there for the price.
Yeah,
um,
are those,
Those are,
are
I'm
those
still under
higher
contract.
or lower than last year?
They
or
would be
what?
the same.
About the same?
Yep, because I'm still under contract with my paving company, and I'm still under contract with the company that does the reclaiming.
Okay.
So at the same price.
Any other questions for Peter?
You actually, you have this money in chapter 90, I'm assuming that.
We have, all this is, we have allocated, we have, or committed, I should say, $1.1 million committed, and uncommitted is $213,000. So any money, and what is great about the way they do the chapter 90 now, opposed to years ago, if they gave you $200,000, you had to use $200,000 that year. This way here, you can bank it. So we've had money in there, and we're doing these projects, and any project that, we always plan more money for the project, so any money left over goes back into chapter 90, and we can use it, which this way is great, so,
So it's a revolving account?
yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's tough. I mean, we're lucky because there's a lot of small towns in the western part of the state. They don't get as much money, and they have to actually bank it for like 10 years before
Before they can do any work.
Before they can do any
Yeah.
work, and the
And-
state gets all freaked out, but it's like, but you're not giving enough money to even do a quarter of a mile,
Yeah.
so.
And with the tip, it just takes years, like this, I don't know what year they started the tip for, West Main Street, but, you know, it's 5 years out.
1995.
I was gonna say, that's
1995.
before I was on this board, yeah.
And that's just from Moulton
95.
Street to the, but it was on, you know, we didn't do much with it for many years. So now we're working on getting it to the 100%, and then once it's 100%, they give us the money and the work starts. Or they don't give us the money, the state basically does the work,
Oh,
so.
okay.
When you
So the design work has to get done, and we have to fund that, do we?
Yes, we fund
Oh,
the
I
design
see.
work, and then the tip comes in, and
Oh, okay.
so.
What was the sudden, Zario, in the very beginning, they had the sidewalk issue both sides of the road, and then it went away.
It did, but now
What
it's
brought
back
it back?
as of yesterday. I have the new director of the Mass DOT. So we're gonna talk to them and say it can't happen here in Georgetown.
No, it doesn't fit.
Who is it?
What's the hell? The bigwig, the top guy, he changed it.
Davy?
Yes,
Try reaching out to Patty Leavenworth. She's chief engineer now.
yes. So, I found that out, they had a meeting with them yesterday, and I found that out, and I'm like, oh boy. So,
All right, well, try reaching out to Patty Leavenworth. If you need me to give a call or an email, just let me know.
all right.
See if you can reach out to her.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Anything else?
Nope.
Fabulous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Pete.
And if you see a pothole, call, either the highway garage or the police if it's bad, and let us know, because, if you hit a pothole and you get a flat tire, a broken rim, anything like that, the town's not liable if they don't know about it. So we're out every day fixing potholes, but, we start at one side of the street and head up. If we don't see it and we don't get a phone call, we don't know about it, we're not liable.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Okay. Mr. Farrell.
Thank you. And good evening, everyone. I'd like to present to the Finance and Advisory Board the fiscal year 2015 annual budget. In accordance with the Georgetown bylaws, Article 3, Section 63-11, I submit the attached estimate of expenses and income of the town's departments for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2014. This submittal represents a level services budget, which means the departments are to provide the same services as they did in the previous fiscal year, allowing only budget increases when contractual obligations require an increase. In the past, departments were asked to submit two budgets, a level funded budget and a level services budget. This year's submission is what I would call a hybrid level services budget, which I define as follows. The amount of the same appropriations as contained in the operating budget authorized for the previous year, reduced or increased, as the case may be, by debt service, contracts, and other obligations previously incurred or mandated by law, and reduced by one-time expenditures contained in the operating budget. For the purposes of this paragraph, one-time expenditures shall be appropriations not likely to recur in the succeeding budget, as determined by the Finance and Advisory Board. For all departments, this means no increases in personnel levels from the levels approved in the FY14 budget. However, any department that has identified a needed expansion or addition of services has been encouraged to make a case for that increase in a separate submittal. Some of you will recall that the format of the departmental budget transmittals form has been changed in anticipation of a major update in the town's chart of accounts scheduled for last spring. Unfortunately, the project was delayed and is now anticipated to be completed before the end of this fiscal year. At this point in time, the FY 2015 budget is like most of the previous budgets, with our major revenues still to be determined by the state legislature, and the amounts of our largest expenditures also months away from being finalized. As far as revenues are concerned, as in past budgets at this time of year, the status of local aid to the town is the biggest unknown. The governor's budget, just released last week, gives us a very preliminary idea of the eventual level of revenues the town might expect to receive. The governor's budget provides for a very small increase in Chapter 70 school funding of only $79,360. Other, which is up 1.5% from last year. Unrestricted general government aid has been level funded by the governor's budget. However, other cherry sheet receipts, including veterans benefits and state-owned lands, have been cut by nearly $60,000. So when you combine with the projected additional school revenues, the net change is a total of $36,114. The only good news thus far is that Speaker DeLeo said just recently at this last weekend, actually, when I attended the Massachusetts Municipal Conference, annual conference, that local revenues to cities and towns should see much better revenues than the governor's budget has provided. The bad news is we'll have to wait until spring to find out what the amounts will be. As far as expenses are concerned, key cost drivers of the past have been replaced by new ones. No longer is the heavy increase of health insurance busting the budget. We actually anticipate health insurance costs to decrease this year. Pension costs are also beginning to bend the cost curve. The 10% increases of the last several years are expected to slow to a 5% increase this year. The new cost driver is a hidden one. It doesn't eat up our 2.5 levy limit growth because it's excluded in its calculation. FY 2015 will be the first time taxpayers will begin to feel the tax impact of the debt incurred for the construction of the Pembroke School project. Debt service, the new cost driver, will increase by more than $1.2 million. However, because the project is a multi-year project extending over several fiscal years, we plan to do the borrowing over at least 2 fiscal years, which will spread the initial tax impact over 2 budget years. Additionally, we are attempting to further lessen the impact by spreading the increase over all 4 quarterly tax bills instead of the usual 2 years.
2 quarters, you mean, yeah.
Last 2 quarters. We've had some conversations with our financials advisors, and as far as the school project is concerned, we're going to need at least 26 million. The beginning of the construction period is when we spend the most money. We're going to be the startup is we've been spending about anywhere around 300,000 to 500,000 a month. The steel's coming in on Monday. Now we're going to start spending some serious dough to the tune of $1 to $2 million a month while the steel starts being erected. So we just, with the selectmen's approval, got a $6 million bond anticipation note that will carry us through to the spring when we plan to go out for a $15 million bond. And that's the debt service and interest that will show up in FY15 in this budget. That 1.2 million will have
That's for the 1.2 million debt service, and principal is for the
principal
15.
and interest, and we'll have the ban is only 1% interest, so it's relatively small in comparison. when we bond, that bond, we're anticipating about a 3.5% interest. It'll be, although it hasn't been decided, finance staff is gonna be recommending that it be a 25-year bond. But the selectmen and the treasurer have the final approval on that. I'm sure you might wanna weigh in on that as well.
I think.
And the, spreading it out over 4 quarters, we may be the first community in Massachusetts to take advantage of this. Our staff, assessing staff and treasury staff have been, they found a 3-line, it's called the IGR from the DOR. And I don't know what IGR stands for, but they put them out on a regular basis, instructing towns and cities on the rules and regulations. And it's a little-known regulation that we feel will allow us to spread the costs of the new debt service over the four quarters instead of the final 2.
That makes a huge difference to taxpayers.
It absolutely does. I mean, just 2 years ago, we only added the feasibility study note on was $760,000. And people were, it came in the third quarter bill, and everybody was just went crazy because they weren't expecting that. So we're gonna try to make everybody aware that this is coming for, the first quarter, but it'll be
That's a
a
good
lot
idea.
smaller than the third quarter. You'll be able to spread it over four payments instead of 2.
IGR is informational guideline releases.
Thank you.
You Google.
So, Mike, do you think that we're gonna be able to lock into a long-term bond situation at a low rate for, I don't know, 20, 25 years on this school, or?
Yeah, right now, our financial advisors are telling us, we could do a 25-year bond at 3.5%.
3.5?
My goodness, are you all right?
I've had this dry.
They feel that should hold through the spring.
Dry in here.
Okay.
We'll probably, go out to bond right around March, maybe April. It depends on the market, really. So, the other cost driver that we're going to be facing will be the perennial salary increases for union and non-union employees. The town has 3 collective bargaining units. 2 are police-related, and 1 is a mix unit, I call it, of dispatchers, highway workers, and town hall clerical people. We're just finishing up a 3-year agreement, so we'll be negotiating another 3-year agreement, hopefully. Just to give you, and I have not carried any wage increases in this budget. It's all level funded from last year. But to keep in the back of your mind, if say, we negotiate a 1% increase, that would add $31,000 to the budget, which in the big picture, it isn't
huge amount of
a
money,
major amount of money. And, if it's 2%, it's 64. If it's each increment
Is
is
about
$31,000. So,
Has anyone ever thought of staggering those? You think, is it a good idea to do them all at once like that? Or do you think there's any advantage to staggering?
if there were 6 or 8 or 10, I'd say yes.
You know, with 3, you don't think it's that big a deal?
I don't, and for one reason, they're all with the AFSCME, American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees. So we're dealing with the same unions.
Oh, it's the same rep,
Well,
pretty much?
2 of the units have the same rep.
The
So,
2 police.
Yeah, so, yeah, we still have separate meetings, but we book them back to back. Like, we'll do the police patrolman, in the morning at 9 o'clock, and then we'll do the mixed unit at noon. And what we've done over the years, if you look at the agreements, they're almost verbatim, word for word.
Contracts,
Yeah.
wording in the contract.
Yeah, and we're trying, the few areas that differ, that's my goal this time around is, because we have 3 different units, but we might have 3 different time frames for filing a grievance. And it makes it tough for the department heads to manage those, and we could conceivably miss a deadline and lose a grievance just on a technicality. So it behooves us to have them all together. I've found over the years that works best.
Okay.
In conclusion, due to the nature of Massachusetts legislative process, this budget document remains a work in progress and will probably remain so right up until the annual town meeting. Even though local governments don't receive any real increases in the governor's budget, the state revenues are expected to increase by at least 5% next year. If we share equally in that increase, it could mean an additional $300,000 in revenue to the town. So, let's all remain optimistic. And I would like to take a couple minutes just going through some of the pages, just the summary pages. If you turn to tab 3, you'll notice, this is the overall summary page. This is the whole town budget on one page. You'll notice there's shaded areas, however. Those are the areas that are not settled. And you're gonna
Sorry, I'm
find
sorry, what was
most of them
Not
are
settled.
not settled.
Not settled,
Not
okay.
settled,
Yeah. But you'll also notice at the very end, the bottom of the page, this number will be going up and down as we
Yeah.
go through the budget process. This is our,
Still,
we're
it's better than negative.
yeah, we're 500,000, we have $500,000 in levy to go.
But the department head shouldn't think that we have $500,000.
No, and they,
is
unless
all
they're
preliminary.
listening tonight, this is the first time they've heard this. Because none of them have seen this.
Hopefully Peter's still walking home.
Yeah.
I understand with the revenue, but why are the other shaded areas not settled?
Well, number one, most of it's because of the salary lines, like health services, public works, schools, code enforcement. None of these have their, general government. No department has their their salaries and wages settled.
But all the expenses that they've put through, that is all in here.
Yes.
Okay, so the only thing that is not in here across the board is salaries.
It's really salaries, yeah.
Okay, because there's a big dip in general government, and is that because of energy? That's operation support went from
Operation support,
206 to 99.
It looks like that, did that move up? Oh, no, it didn't move up. You're right, I thought maybe it moved up to the other line, but it didn't.
I'd have to, let me, look in
Oh,
the
yeah, I know,
expense.
it's first round,
Yeah,
this is what we do,
there was some shifting from, there were some shifting from one department to another. But that was mostly in the schools. The state is no longer using the ethics Aggie as a charge-off. It's gonna come out of the school budget now. So, but I moved that
Yeah.
over and I moved the charge away too. So the school wasn't penalized. But actually, I didn't want to get too detailed
no, if you
with
just,
this.
that just jumps
Yeah.
out, if you can just check on that.
Yeah,
And one other question about schools. Are they negotiating a contract, or this couldn't possibly include their raises?
it does not include the raises.
So are they
but they're-
negotiating as well right now?
No, I believe all their contracts are settled for this year.
Yeah, I think they're all set.
Oh, okay.
But
So-
this doesn't include any contracted increases either. The school committee is still, I talked to Joan Laporto tonight,
Yeah.
and they're not gonna have final numbers until February 6th.
So, but we will have for
We'll
our
have them
meeting
for
of
February 8th.
we will have
Yes.
we will have the three
Because
numbers.
it's just,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
I
Like we did
guess I
last
don't
year.
understand the angst. It's just, you know, what's the contracts over last year? I mean,
Well,
I don't know what the decision
It's-
is.
We will, as long as we have the three, you have the three numbers.
But if February
to plug
6th
in.
is where they're gonna give it to us, that's fine.
Yeah.
yes.
And those three numbers, just so everybody knows, will be the salaries, sped, and then the expenses. So that way they can get plugged into this whole thing, so we can see where in that 508, and that's why that 508 is gonna be very.
Is it, yeah, it's really not a lot of money if the school's not in there.
Right.
Yeah, so if you want to flip the page, then this is all the revenue detail.
Oh, this one, yeah.
It's a single page again. And as you can see, most of the revenues are, well, all the revenues are level funded from last year. And, you know, we're not going to know our revenue situation, particularly from the state. I will sit down, you know, usually after we get at least the half a year, which has just occurred, is when we look at all our local receipts and see if we're on target for this year, and then project ahead for the next year. But
How did we do on energy savings this year, Mike?
we don't have a final, they really just finalized the project. Actually, there's still a punch list going right now at the school. I don't have that number for you. I think I will have it before the end of before town meeting.
Okay, so they're still working up to high school, or?
There's
Yeah.
some areas that need adjusting. There's rooms that are way too
Vents and-
hot, and some that are way too
Yeah.
cold. There were things discovered that were outside of the scope of the ESCO. You know, they did the controls, but they didn't check the valves for the the water that they use to heat it. They found one wing of Pearly, the valve was stuck wide open. So the rooms were getting heated, at 85 degrees. And people were leaving, and they had to open the windows. But the ABM has been still working with us. They've been,
All right, I just thought I'd ask, okay.
yep. So I will have the local receipts a lot sooner than the state revenues. And then there's 5 pages of expense detail. We're still carrying years from the old chart of accounts, 2012, 2013, which it helps you with some history. But then last year and this year coming, we just have the 2 line items for each department, personal services and purchase of services.
And then the details will be underneath the tabs.
And then all these tabs, just flip back, you'll see
Oh, okay.
the detail of where that comes from. And that's the part you'll be discussing with each department. You'll get to question them on each line item. Any other questions? I don't have any numbers from the water department, and I don't have any numbers from the Parks and Recreation Department.
Not from the water department.
The department head's new, and so are many of the commissioners as well. I think they have 2 new commissioners too. So they're just kind of learning their way around.
Are we gonna have it by the 8th?
I would certainly hope so.
Shall I send them a gentle reminder?
I think that
I think that would be helpful.
Do you have their email addresses? Can you
I'll
shoot me
I'll
that?
send them to
That would
you.
be fabulous. Thank you, Mike. Gentle one.
Which one do you want?
Huh?
Which ones do you want?
They need to come across with something. And I know that they're learning, and I understand that, but. And, yeah, I'll do that, and I wanna make sure we have the long-term capital plan that we've been looking for the past 3 years.
Yeah, I couldn't speak to that.
Okay. All right.
However, I can speak to our CIP work. We've had our 3rd meeting as of tonight. We've gone through all the submissions, and next week, we're gonna have a deliberative meeting. And, we're, based on the amount of free cash and capital, I think we're gonna be in pretty good shape. We're gonna be able to put a dent in some needs.
Good. Yeah, I would like to see, seeing how the water department for the past 3 years have had a couple of consultants that was told they were paying to have long-term capital plan.
And the other thing with the CIP, everybody's been showing up. I mean, we had to move the meeting, we used to.
Is it because Wayne got off it?
No, Wayne always came to the meetings, he just couldn't vote, that was, he and I were there, and we don't get to vote. But
No, that's great.
all the new members, especially the 2, Nick and Mike, have been there. Yeah, we had to move to the corner meeting room, out of the selectmen's meeting room, because we didn't have enough room, so.
Awesome.
It's been great, and a lot of good questions of the, department heads. Everybody's, everybody's really new. It's, Don is, Chief Cudmore is probably the longest-serving member, and everybody else is either 1 or 2 years, so. but
Good.
they're-
Fresh
they're-
eyes are not a bad thing.
they're-
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
good questions,
Yeah.
different look at things, because we've been looking at some of these projects for a long time.
10 to 15 years.
Well, we got rid of a lot of those. We're only maybe 5 years now. We've cleaned up the backlog. People have given up and gone home, basically.
Do you think it'd be possible, speaking of CIP, to have an update on last year's voted CIP articles? Any of the things that came out of the CIP, just to see where they're standing, the projects,
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
just to, it'd be good for us, but it'd also be good for the public to say, yes, you voted in money to fix the ramp at the school, and it's done. You voted, because a lot of times, like, we vote it, and we never hear an
Yeah,
update
that's true.
as to where it is. Just a quick summary update, 1 page would be great, just to see where we are.
Okay.
And is there anything in here where we are in stabilization and free cash and all the other stuff, or you're gonna have that for us on the 8th? You had a sheet before you had,
I thought I saw one recently.
Yeah, I provided that to the committee, but I'll include it in, with documentation on here.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
I just have a separate request. You have the cash flow, do you not, from the construction company
Yes,
on the school?
yes.
I would, can I come in tomorrow and get a copy of that? It would be a good thing, maybe, if it's possible for this committee to
Sure.
maybe have a copy. There's a cash flow report that the contractor supplies to Mike, that the committee gets, but it's an indication of where the contractor is compared to where he should be
Oh, okay.
at a particular time. It's a way of keeping track that he's on schedule.
Okay.
So that's
that'd be great.
kind of a good thing. It's along those lines, where are we? Are we ahead, behind?
I agree.
Right. Yeah, that would be good. Okay, another thing that, could you get us a cost of what it would be for a stipend to pay for someone to take minutes for this committee? So we can get them processed and done, because I stink at it. And we have to pull them all together. I just don't know what a stipend would be if any of the
Mm-hmm.
school committee has someone who's there to take notes. Board of Selectmen do.
Well, they have staff, regular staff to do it. It's
But
worked.
don't they get a
it's-
stipend for it?
Nope.
No?
No, it's worked into their hours.
It's worked into their hours? Okay. If you could just get a cost what you think a stipend, so we can take a look at that.
Yeah, the only committee that I'm aware of that, but I think they have a staff person now. The planning board used to pay a stipend too.
Right, I know affordable housing, everybody's got staff. We don't have staff,
Right.
so.
No, I'll look
I'm just
into
thinking
that.
if it's short money, it may be worth putting it in the budget.
Yep.
To make sure that they're done up, they're typed up, they're legible.
At least if you had to,
Hmm?
if you had them do the key meetings,
Yeah,
and, like the one we had the other night.
in the back of an envelope in my bag still, yeah.
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 I know that we used to have somebody come in and do it.
It's just, we talked about this years ago.
Yeah, we did.
And then, and Robin did a fabulous job. Well, Robin's, maybe we can hire Robin back to do it.
I don't think she'd do
I
it.
know. It's usually, the guy to get somebody to do it is about 20 bucks now. 25 bucks.
So it's probably, that's what I'm saying.
You have a 2-hour meeting and maybe 3 hours to do the, so.
That's what I'm saying. It could be very,
$100
Yeah,
a meeting.
yeah.
It could be short, it could be short money, like under $2,000, and it may be a way if there are any other staff, people who are part-time that would like to pick up some extra.
How do you, when you do when they've done the meeting minutes in the past, how detailed do they go into it? They
During the
go in-
budget, Robin did very good detail. I am not good with
Questions
detail.
and answers from people?
Yeah, depending.
Not quite that detail. It would be more of subjects discussed, I think.
And a little, and
Conclusions.
conclusions and
Maybe
questions we've
something
asked for people to move forward with.
Like what he just said, what he just did, he said book was presented to the board, he reviewed the job laws.
Presented
and-
some, no, his is presented FY15 budget.
Right.
That's all you need for that, I would
Good.
say, yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
exactly.
think you can probably find somebody.
I don't, yeah. Just find somebody where.
There's somebody around, I can call a few people I know.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's just, the most important time really is during the budgets, is budget season, because that's when, you wanna make sure, especially votes or discussions, or if somebody brought up a concern, that's when we really have to do it. And I know I can't do it at the same time, but if we can just find that out, so we're going to need to vote at some point to have someone for this fiscal year, be the clerk. Unless you have money that we can do it, there's extra money in this year's budget.
I'll look.
Just if there happens
Yeah.
to be, if we're about to start this budget season. Because I guess one of the big things is that, yeah, it would be great, okay, somebody's new on, it's not good for somebody new to be taking minutes because they're not participating in the meeting.
Right.
Oh, you mean,
Yeah,
a
because
new
all you
member, you mean,
yeah, the
yeah,
new
that's
member,
true.
because all you're doing
That's
is
true.
taking notes,
Right.
so. So if you can check into that, that would be great.
I will.
So, even if it's just basic, because we don't have that many budget meetings, so it may be not that much money. Because we don't, it's not like we're meeting every week for 8 weeks. So. So, let's see, I asked Mike.
There you go. Specifically somebody for a day-long meeting, because that is gonna be.
Yeah, that would be,
That would be really good if we could find somebody at least just for that.
anybody have any other questions for Mike?
Or else we each take turns. Everybody does one person.
You don't wanna read my
I-
notes.
You know,
I'm horrible. I
Me
know
too.
a lot. I'm horrible. All right, anything else to add, Mike?
Not tonight.
Do you think, I don't wanna push Mary, do you think she'll have, end of January numbers before the 8th? That's gonna be kinda close.
That'll be tight. I try to push her to have it by the 10th of every month.
Okay, all right.
Sometimes she makes it, sometimes she doesn't. But I like to know by the 10th.
No, that's, I just,
Yeah,
yeah, I
that-
know that was kinda tight, I just
Yeah.
didn't know
I think that'll be too tight.
okay. Michelle, do you have any questions for us? Oh, I thought of that, I said, we always use too many acronyms. Capital improvement plan for long-term capital projects, and they need to fit within, certain parameters according to the bylaw. They need to cost more than they need $10,000 and up, and need to have a life expectancy of more than 5 years. So that's where they have to go through, and then the CIP committee gets together and they do a review of all of the different items, and we'll be getting that review, you'll be getting that package for us, right, Mike, in the next few weeks? Review all the different requests people put in for trucks, or for equipment that, like, what's Peter putting in for this year? Truck,
Yeah, just
Is this the
one
450?
ton.
a 1-ton? Right,
One he
la-
didn't get last year.
Yeah, no, that was upset about, I know, one of that. And last year, he put in for a 6-wheeler, and that got approved because the frame bench and things like that. So it gets reviewed and it gets prioritized according to all the other things that are happening in town, because there's really only so much money we can spend on these items. So, that's what that group does. Any other questions for the board? Or processes or anything like that that you wanna know from us before?
What are the meeting schedules like?
Oh.
And you mentioned November 8th meeting too.
Yeah. Mike, do you wanna give her your thing, or do you want me to give her mine?
Actually, it's in tab,
She doesn't have one.
She doesn't have one.
oh.
Oh, she's a potential new member. Do you think
Okay, yeah,
you could just give her your green tab?
Sure.
Can I print a new one? Oh,
Oh,
oh, Gary
Gary,
beat
what
you
a
to
guy.
it.
Don't, I wouldn't give her that one. You're telling her about the February 8th meeting?
I know.
That's a, she went, that was scary.
I'll get it. I know where I can get one.
Food in. I have Tim bring food in.
Oh, we got food coming?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a grand day. Well, I tell you, it's way
You
better
too? Okay.
than meeting every Wednesday night from January
Oh,
to
yeah.
April.
It was,
We're meeting all day on Saturday, the 8th.
What
We
time does that
decided
usually
to do
go?
this a couple of years ago, and
we
it's
got
just,
over at like
it's a
4
great
o'clock.
thing.
For Ben.
Oh, so
How
it's
long are we talking
time for
about?
happy
Oh, all
hour.
day.
Like, what's all day?
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 o'clock?
No, no, no.
look at who's the chair.
What time do we start? 8 or 9?
We start at 9.
9
We
to
start
5.
at 9.
9 to
Well,
5?
as long,
Yeah.
we wanna get rolling right at 9, so have
Yeah.
everybody start coming
Last
in
year,
right
we
at
were
8:30,
done
grab some
by
coffee.
3:30 or 4,
Yeah.
I think.
And we had lunch.
And we ate lunch. We did.
When I used to go through the budgets up north, I'm sorry, but,
No,
ahead, go ahead.
oh, it's just that when I used to go through the budgets up north, that if you had something like, any kind of supplies, like public work supplies, they had a list of all the supplies. You know, the budget went one step further, where you can say paper towels, you can see green.
Break it
We
down.
don't, we
Yeah, we
can't-
don't-
yeah,
we
we
don't.
don't
Why,
get into
no.
that kind of detail.
Yeah.
There is more detail in the,
That's what
in
he's
the
looking
individual,
at.
that's where he is? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's all we get.
Right. I
This
mean,
is more detail than you're used to get.
yeah,
Well,
right. Years ago, you gotta you gotta be careful with the fine line that, and go along with the assumption the department heads know their departments and that they're asking for
Yeah,
things and we're not micromanaging them on certain
that's
things.
right.
So that's where other towns like to micromanage on things, and it's kinda like, yeah.
We found that the department managers are very good about understanding the amount of money we have and living with it. You could listen to Peter telling
Yeah.
you that how he was paying for things, and so, you know,
And-
Or even
that's-
like the salaries, not paper towels,
Yeah.
wasn't that, but salaries were broken down per person. They weren't a name, there wasn't a name.
Oh, they're broken down in person.
it's in there.
Yeah, it's in
Is
there.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Look behind
The
that.
second page.
That sheet right there. No, the one you have open.
Yeah.
Turn that page.
I think it would have like his,
Okay, but it has all the different police officers, different, all that there. Okay.
Yeah.
Each department, you must have,
For each position, yeah.
salaries are listed.
Yeah, like here's
guy.
inspections,
Okay.
Yeah, how many,
EFTs, and
yeah.
And, you know, used to have the cost per insurance for each person and blah, blah, blah,
Oh, that, yeah, we have that
you
too.
know?
No,
Not per person.
not per person.
Oh, not per person, oh, I'm sorry, no.
actually, is that the where is that captured? Oh, the fringe and all that stuff for the.
It's in the,
It's in the expense detail.
expense detail, but it's by category. It's, yeah. Pension has a single line item, health insurance has a single line item, Medicare has a single line item.
It's the very last page.
Under tab 3.
Yeah, you can see Medicare, medical insurance, health insurance, how much we're paying,
Property and liability insurance.
yeah. It's just an aggregate number.
It's-
Okay. Oh, okay, that's what I was asking. So that's not department level. That's just.
No, that's
That's
the
right.
whole
That's the
thing.
town level.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in fact, the electric department is part of that as well, and they give, if you look under revenue, there's something the electric department has to contribute to the town, and the water department has to contribute to the town,
Okay.
and that's all under that number.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And we always used to have to go after you to get that money.
I
too, so-
always paid you anything. I told
Wayne
Nick-
used to run the light department for a number of years, so. And we used to beat him up for money. And he was always very generous. All right.
Yeah, and Mike, no, the insurance isn't there. Yeah, it is. Tab 21 breaks down, gives you debt service and then employee benefits.
Oh, yeah, they should just got done looking.
Yeah, I just hadn't gone far enough.
Yep.
And
The-
when we get to talking about debt service, I will provide you with a debt service schedule
Oh, good.
too.
That spreadsheet with all of the stuff
Yeah.
when it goes away and, okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you'll see each tab, they're basically all the same. They start with the summary, then the salaries, and the expenses, and then and then encourage, as usual, with any of the departments, Mike, if anybody has any other packages they wanna hand out and give to us, a lot of departments will come in with more information when they present their budgets. So the police department always comes in with a lot of good detail. Peter usually comes in with a lot of good detail, so then that's why we can insert it right in the books, and then we have it all during the whole budget process.
Or that will be given to us before the meeting?
I don't know if they'll have any
No,
before the
not
meeting.
generally. They just give it to us when they come
Yeah.
to the meeting.
Yeah.
Would be nice if we,
Yeah, I
That
know.
was my next question. Is there any chance of, if
they-
any of them have it and they can email it, then we can print it out at home or whatever and just,
yeah. And you need to change my email, Mike, again, Mike. I'm still on, you're still sending it to the old one.
Oh, okay.
I told Janet about it. Okay.
yeah, because it would be good to, if we can see, especially those who have a lot of stuff. I know Donnie always has with the
I know
maintenance
he
and things
always
like that.
does, yeah.
But I don't know if they're not gonna have it ready until the 8th. But if they have it ready and they want to email it to you to forward to us, that would be great.
Okay.
Hey, Gary, are any of you joining us on the 8th? Okay. Okay. Okay, now back to Michelle. Questions? Any other questions you have?
How does the fiscal year run? What's the period,
July 1st through June 30th.
like the state?
Yes. Yep. So that is the only, the day meeting, like Jim had mentioned. We used to meet basically for 2.5 hours every Wednesday night for like 6 to 8 weeks. And yes, it's miserable to lose a Saturday, but there's not much really going on Saturdays at this time of year, and get people in, get them out. A lot of the budgets just don't change, and we found it last year, was just, it went,
Oh, yeah.
it was,
It went
better.
pretty quick,
Oh,
yeah.
the pain in one
yeah,
day.
it just,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
it was
they're on.
We have another one on March 8th. What's the one? on
that's
March
the substitute in case there's another
We
snowstorm.
were snowed out last year.
That's not necessary unless we run into a lot of problems. That's why we booked 2 Saturdays, because last year, actually in February, that's when we had the blizzard. Last year in February, there was a blizzard, so we
Yeah.
ended up having it in March.
Good.
So, it's good to have a contingency plan. That's what it is, a contingency, so. But otherwise, the meetings really are 7 to 9 usually, because pretty much we're burnt out at 9. So, anything else?
Is there anything else I should know?
I'll say as a new person, I think whenever I've had a question, there's always been an answer. It's never been a, why are you asking that? I think it's been pretty forthcoming, at least so far, in a,
There's no such thing as a stupid question.
yeah.
No, there isn't, I mean, it's just, yeah. Yeah, there's,
Come in and talk.
there's a lot of, this, right now, it's, and actually, for the past 5 years, for a number of years, the board has been really good, and it's been very diverse with a lot of different experience. I mean, I've been on since, I think, 99 or 2000, you were on in the 90s,
97.
97, Reg has been on since about then. Yeah.
I don't remember.
He doesn't remember
Ed
much.
just joined us, but Ed was also on CIP, before, so he knew a lot about CIP. Wayne had been a municipal employee for a number of years and has a lot of knowledge, so it brings a lot of good history from here. These gentlemen are all new, but Nick was on a finance committee in Maine, so he understands the budget process. Mike is learning new, and Joe has a financial background, so it is a good diverse group. And that's, like I said to you on the phone, I said, we're not a rubber stamp, and we will discuss and we will disagree. But when you walk out of here, still walk out neighbors and friends, because that's what it has to be. So it doesn't, this board never gets contentious. He got fun last year with Chuck, but now that he's in Arizona,
Chuck, that's right.
Chuck was.
He
Chuck was.
he
was
stopped
very
by
funny.
recently.
Oh, he
Did he?
did.
Yeah, he was
Oh,
just
wow.
blew in and blew out, but he did stop in to say hi.
Oh,
His house is still for sale.
I know.
Oh, well, he's got
Oh, does he have a buyer?
a buyer.
Oh, he does. Oh, good.
He's what was he, retired lieutenant colonel?
Yeah.
From the
Air Force.
Air Force.
Yeah.
He was from Nevada. And had a
Actually,
very.
he grew up in Oklahoma, I think.
Is that where he grew
I
up?
think
Yeah.
so. I think
He
he
was-
grew up in Oklahoma.
He's a very different background, and you know
was
what?
pretty funny. Yeah,
it was
he
great. He
fit
brought
right in. It was
he
great.
brought a lot of different things to the
Yeah.
table. So that's
Yeah.
Afraid to speak up, was he?
no, he
No,
was not.
no, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
He was
so.
good.
Anything else? Any other questions? Feel free to call me and or Mike or whatever. And it's hopefully you will consider joining us. It's a fun group. I mean, you see, we always have fun.
I got a question for Mike.
Yeah.
The enterprise, the water and the fire, the ambulance, how do they report their enterprise funds? Is that part of this?
Well, we do have a 2-item line item. Actually, there's a detail under the fire tab for the ambulance as well.
Okay.
It should be in there anyway.
That reminds me of something.
Tab 9, I
Let me sit here, you know. Do you remember
fire.
Andy wanted to know about revolving funds? Do we want to know that again?
Well, we know Peter's got 1.2 and some.
Yeah.
Well, Andy had a very good point, that there's a lot of money floating around
Right.
in revolving funds and grants that are not, we don't have visibility to through this budget process.
The schools gave it to us though last year.
Oh, yeah, we got
Yeah.
it from everybody.
Yeah. That would be
It
nice.
was the
Can we get
first
it
time.
again?
You know, we probably should keep that in front of us,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
And
Find the ambulance budget one?
I found the ambulance budget.
but there's not really any.
I don't, like, ambulance replacement, is that, I don't know how this, it's the
That-
first time I've looked at this.
Well,
I
they went
really,
to a revolving fund to an enterprise.
Right.
I think I saw the water
Yeah.
department, they had like a, something reserves,
They do.
and I don't know what but I didn't see that anywhere else. I didn't see the.
I don't know if the ambulance has any reserves yet, because it
They're-
just got turned into an
Yeah,
enterprise.
they're working on it.
That's right,
Okay.
they're not a
There's a
revolving
little
fund
bit of
anymore.
writing, and there's a lot of writing, very small, I'll read it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was the purpose why they went to an enterprise.
Because they were
Was
getting
that
too
they were
big.
making so much
Yeah.
money.
That's right,
Yeah,
they
they-
couldn't stay
you
as a
know.
revolving.
Well, yeah, my
So they
question,
should have
what
a
are they
re-
taking out of the enterprise fund to run the operation? Are they, or,
That's a good point.
The enterprise fund is running the ambulance operation.
Right.
But then-
So the
yeah.
question is how much, the question would be, I think, how much money are they putting in their reserves so they can replace the ambulances? That's
Yeah, right.
that's the worry that
Yeah,
we had.
the
Oh, no,
maintenance
just the
piece.
concern.
But the enterprise fund is not being used to run anything else
Right,
in the
no,
fire department.
it's just the ambulance.
right, but then go to the water department, what is the water department using, they have they get their revenues from the rates,
Right.
they have an enterprise fund, and,
And they
where's
have
this money-
reserves that
because
they're
none of
using
the money's
for
coming from the
upgrade.
town. Where is that
This is,
report?
we don't have it yet. That's why we don't have it in this one.
You do get those reports.
We get a report. It's been,
Sometimes.
it needs, to- and to give the benefit of the doubt with some new
It's been
people,
late.
hopefully they're gonna come forward.
What other enterprise funds do we have other than,
That's-
the light department turns all their stuff's all in the
Yeah,
system.
light, water, and ambulance.
Light water and
Yeah,
ambulance.
that's
That's
it.
right.
That's all, you get those reports every year. They're on the internet, they're on the website, he gets them, Mary gets them, and the town clerk gets them.
Oh, I've never seen one, because I've never looked.
One's about 85 pages.
Oh,
Light reading.
I don't have that much ink in my.
The audit report, the auditor's making it longer.
Sandy,
It's like
light reading?
more
Huh?
money.
Light
Light
reading.
reading.
It's light reading, yeah.
light reading, yeah. Very good.
Do we have any other requests from the selectmen at this point in time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Apparently not.
Did you, has Peter's been taken care of at your past meeting, anything with it? The
Peter's,
deficit spending?
Yes.
oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And it hasn't snowed since.
Yeah.
We're gonna,
That's
we're
what we're
gonna
gonna
do
vote
it
on
early.
earlier.
That's right, we did that.
Yeah.
Just have a question.
Yep.
The conflict of interest email that we
Mhm.
received, I did email you back. I did do the online.
This is a different one. You have to, Reggie brought it tonight, and actually, if everybody can just drop it off to Jan the Brain. This is, they don't do just one type of conflict of interest. You do the online, and then they end up, you have to read a packet, and you have to say, I got and read the packet. That's what this is about. Right? You have the online thing every couple of years, then you get the packet you have to read and turn in that I have acknowledged receipt of the conflict of interest.
Oh, that's the conflict of
Yeah.
interest one, because the other one is the open meeting law.
Open meeting law?
Do you have to
You have
sign
to
that?
sign
Drew?
that? What?
That's a one and done thing.
Oh,
We may have already done that a
Yeah,
long
we probably
time
did
ago.
that
we did that,
before.
right?
I don't remember when we did
The
that.
open
that's what I'm
meeting,
saying.
yeah, I think we did
The open
that.
meeting, that was a while ago, I think,
Yeah.
so I don't know if these
Yeah.
gentlemen have to do that or not.
I just, I got it the other day when
When-
I came to get sworn in.
Yeah.
Oh, the
I
open
got,
meeting, you had to
Oh,
sign. it.
okay.
Yeah.
Town
Okay.
clerk.
Oh, all right.
So she gave me all the
Turn
paperwork,
clock-
you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a
Yeah.
room down in the basement full of paper
Yeah.
with a bunch of names on it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is another one, you have to sign the last page and say, yeah, I received this packet and I read it,
Yeah, I think I've done that, so.
so, I don't know what I've done.
But I had to print 13 pages before I got to that one.
Right, what does it say? Go to the-
13.
You just go to the block and say, print the last page.
Yeah, why didn't you just?
That's
put
what
it
I
on the
tried to
last
do
page?
that. I tried to do that, and they went, nah.
Well, you should have made 7 copies of that page before you signed it and brought it to us. You're gonna need a lot of paper.
Does anyone have any other questions? All right, so the next meeting is the 8th, and like I said, if everyone can be here ready to go at 9, we'll have coffee and donuts with Danish, or maybe I'll get Tim to make some food, and we'll have lunches brought in, unless you have to go out and do an errand or whatever, but I'll have cold cuts brought in or something brought in. I haven't decided yet, so, whatever, yeah, exactly, so, but, no, it'll be fun, and just, if that's it, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Ooh, he's vying
Pick
for the
one.
second.
Oh, is he got, he's in the rule? Okay.
That's Reggie's job.
I had a rule like that too.
Wait, no fighting. You wanna do it?
No,
Do it.
no, no, I didn't understand. I've been there. I sat in
I
this,
could care less.
no, you're the second, you're it. Good. Stay second.
You can second when Reg's not here.
It's fine.
Yeah, that's right, you're the backup.
That's fine. I have there's a system. I understand the system.
Robin created that system a long time ago. All right, without further ado, any objections? All those in favor? Aye. All right, we are adjourned at 8:25. Thank you very much, folks.